So, good morning, welcome to today's video. Just riding into town. I want to talk Cyclepaths today. I live just over a mile from town, and if I want to go into town, I've got Cyclepaths. They're not the best cyclepaths in the world, but I've got Cyclepaths. So I can actually ride all the way into town, as I'm going to do with you this morning. And I can ride on a nice, safe cyclepath, relatively safe cyclepath. So I'm quite lucky, I've got this nice park, Wyndham Park, to ride through on my way into town. It's kept really nice. Going bang through the middle of it is a nice cycle path. Or if I want to, I can go along the river, along another cycle path. This is another park which actually goes along the river, which is just behind there, and this is a really popular way to get from one of the larger housing estates into town. It might take a little bit longer if you want to cycle this way. Probably adds, I don't know, a quarter of a mile to the journey, but it is so much nicer to come this way. So I'm coming this way just about 7 in the morning, and there's a few people starting to get daily exercise, coming to work, go for a walk the dogs, ride the bikes. So this is much nicer when riding along the road, don't you think? Path is made up really good, very fine gravel, it's quite smooth, nice place to ride. So when I come out of the park and meet up with the main road, I am met with a great cycle path into the estate. So as you can see here, the paths are wide enough to take a cycle path in comfort, so it makes sense. So anybody living on this, which is one of the biggest estates, they can cycle to school, to work, into town along these cycle paths through the park, quite safe. As you can see here, we've just flipped now onto the road, but again it's a quiet estate road, so no problems. So what you can see here is some of the better examples of cycle paths. Unfortunately, like many towns, we don't have this consistency or best use of paths throughout the whole town. So as I say, what I've shown you are some of the better pathways, cycle routes, but depending on the situation, things like actually separated cycleways where the road is painted a different colour to really signify it's not for cars or for something different. Very good idea, aren't they, on the whole? So from the other end of the estate, I can pick up another cycle path into town, so I've got an alternative. So again, this is another popular route, this time going alongside railway lines. I think a lot of cycle paths and walking routes naturally follow canals, rivers and railway lines quite well. So just behind these trees and bushes, just up there, that'll be the main line. So occasionally you get a train going by to disturb your peace, but generally down here, nice, peaceful, quiet way to get into town. So when I come to the end of this path, again coming up to meet up with one of the main roads into town and also to one of the residential areas, and we've still got a great cycleway. riding out of town at the moment, but I'm riding towards one of the more popular residential areas on the edge of town. So again, if I want to ride into town or ride to school, work, I can ride along here. So this side of town is actually served pretty well. So coming back along the same route now, back into town. When we get to the end of this route, I'll show you one of the issues we've got. So as you can see, this is a really nice area. As we get closer into town, I'm going to come riding along a nice wide path on a clearly marked cycle path. And when I get to the end in town, that's what I met with. End of route. Where do we go now? Do I go that way on that pavement? That's quite narrow. Do I go that way on that pavement? It's quite wide but not marked for cycles. Do I go on that road? It's one way. It's the main thoroughfare through town on the A52. Traffic. It's just after 7 in the morning. It's quite busy. Later on in the day, this is totally constant traffic. So best to get onto the road then, eh? I want to go the other side there, which actually becomes the high street. So to do it, I've got to cycle that way. I've got to get from here across to that side to go round there to get onto the high street. And this is the normal traffic for the A52. This will get busier as the day goes on. So I think I'll opt to ride illegally along this path, eh? So I just rode illegally along a path, but it was considerably safer than riding on the road. Can't blame cyclists, can you really? It was better than taking my chances on the A52 with things like that lorry or this bus. Or maybe this lorry. Or maybe that one. There's a gap in the traffic. So I took a chance, went across the lanes. Now I'm going, as you can see, to the town centre. So as I turn onto what is effectively the continuation of the high street, the main way through town, like no cyclepaths. But look carefully over here, I've got a tiny little sign which says I can ride on this path, but there's no markings. There's no markings on here. So Mrs. Smith wheeling a trolley down here will think, as I'm riding up here, what's he doing riding on the pavement? Mrs. Smith will probably shout at me. No markings. So I'm now getting towards the centre of town and go, look, got the end of route again. So now I'm in the centre of town. Many moons ago, this used to be the A1. So as you can see, it's pretty narrow. It's very quiet at the moment, but this is all I've got to play with. So riding a cycle through the centre of town, it's not the best, is it really? The road does actually get wider here. I've got 2 lanes on the left, 1 on the right, so I'm going south at the moment. Got 2 lanes to play with. Now it's opened up, we're in the centre of town. Now we're pretty large and wide road, but no cycle path. There's a wide pavement there. Maybe I could ride on there. No, it'd be illegal, wouldn't it? Got potholes. I've got another pothole. Got junctions. Got cars passing closer than necessary. I have not got a cycle path. Potholes, potholes, pothole, So I'm going east to west. It's a bit dangerous, that road. I've had several close passes. That's one of the ways which I regularly go to get out to the Vale of Belvoir, as you know. So at the end of that road, I've now turned to come up to the railway station. People might regularly commute to the railway station by cycle, might they? That would be a logical thing to do. Here's quite a wide road. There's a nice new section of tarmac. I can't see a cycle path though. Can you? It would have been really easy to mark a cycle path on this lovely new fresh tarmac with no potholes going to the railway station. All I ever did, put in a cycle rack. Maybe if I go the other way from the railway station into town, maybe I'll find a cycle path so I can ride my bike and commute in safety to the station. Oh, no cycle path. So why am I telling you all this, you may wonder? Well, my fellow YouTuber Roy, Ride with Roy, you've seen him on my channel. He's actually started a campaign locally to work with the authorities to improve the cycling infrastructure around the town and the villages on the way into town to encourage more people to cycle. There is some hope, some improvement coming, which we do know about. Ironically, it's the county council, not the district council's responsibility, which is a little bit strange in some ways. So the county council are creating an active travel zone in town. The town centre is a little bit just under a square mile, and as you can see in that centre of town, there's not too much cycling infrastructure at all. We're reasonably well served to get into town, but then it just stops. And Grantham is a little bit of a crossroads of east to west, north to south. So the town centre can be busy. And as I mentioned, the high street many moons ago was the A1. Fortunately, a bypass was built in the 60s. So naturally, the town centre basically is pretty busy. If ever there's any issue on the A1 and it gets closed, guess what? North to south comes through town. So some of those lorries that go up and down the A1 go down that very tiny little high street, that very narrow little high street. Don't really want to be riding a bike if the A1's closed. So Roy's been pretty instrumental in helping get set up this Grantham Cycling Infrastructure Campaign Group, and I'll drop a link to the Facebook page. Be interesting to know what happens in your town where you live. What have you got in your area? How's the cycling infrastructure? If you wanted to commute by bike into town, how would it be? I think we're quite fortunate in being able to ride in and out of town through some reasonable cycleways, but that's for leisure, isn't it? When I go out to ride, I'm basically going out for a ride in the country, as you know from the videos. If I wanted to commute, if I was just starting cycling and I wasn't very confident and I wanted to cycle in and around my town, go to work, go to shop on my bike, it might be a different story. These roads might put you off. So, as I say, I'm interested to know what the infrastructure is like where you live. Whether you live city or town, what has your district or local council done to help you cycle? I think it's a very patchy affair around the country. It's getting better. I know there's a lot of campaigns to improve the cycling infrastructure. A few car drivers moan about it, but it's got to help everybody, hasn't it, really? Help get cars off the road. So please drop a comment below and let me know what you've got in your world. If I was on my bike and that lorry came by me on this narrow part, could be interesting. So I'll see you again in a few days' time ride safely, use the cycle paths. Don't forget to click the bell, like and subscribe. See you soon, bye.